I own a company called 3R Garden Design. The 3R is recycle, repurpose, reuse. And we specialize in doing really sustainable and environmentally thoughtful landscaping design. We find ourselves to be more specialty because we don't want the future to be, no offense to you, but growing grass or growing ornamental plants. We want people to have true food security. And that's not having a farmer's market down the street or a supermarket that carries a healthy option. The healthiest option, both for ourselves and the planet, is to have your own garden and to grow your own food. And we think of like all of the big environmental issues that we're dealing with, and I think that the biggest solution as a community and a people to come together is to knock down the walls of our backyards and start building these super gardens and growing our own food. And literally, if we come together, we could grow everything that we need. And what we don't grow, our neighbors are growing. And so my company is all about empowering what we feel is true utopia. And that's community, growing food together, restaurants being supplied by the neighborhood instead of it coming in a truck from across country. And so, I got into this, it was my hobby. I mean, I had a corporate job and all I wanted to do was go home and water my garden. And so, for me, it was about doing something that made me super happy that I could, empower others to do, because I feel that this is the future. So when I met Joseph through this nonprofit that I work with and saw his product, it was like a light went off, because for us it's about bringing in partners that have that same message, that are about a more progressive, environmentally thoughtful system, instead of using what is just not working out in the most beneficial way possible. And so having irrigation water from underneath is just like building a farm in a rainforest. I mean, we have with this system so much more saturation, so much more opportunity to grow abundance and to grow really resilient, diverse gardens. And so, we're all about the pipe, and we're all about the gray water story and creating a LEED certification for landscaping, and empowering people to make money from their landscape, to sell their excess to restaurants, to build community and actually know their neighbors. And in a time of crisis, in a time of need, we have an entire neighborhood that we can be supported by. I mean, that should be our goal, not protesting and going and trying to rise up against somebody else and empower our beliefs and opinions on somebody else. It should be to build a garden and invite those people with a difference of opinion over for lunch, and to have them plant something in the garden and talk about how we can come together in the most peaceful and harmonious way. So we try to grow, I mean, this is Southern California. It's like a perfect climate, Mediterranean environment. We can grow such a range of stuff here. And with how interested and engaged people are on new and exciting food options, and how restaurants are so intrigued in providing something that's different than everything else on the market, we find that in this area we can grow a much larger variety of fruits and vegetables. And so we tend to specialize more in safe but exotic fruits and vegetables. Like, we like to do a lot of tomatoes, but we want to do like specialty, heirloom varieties, black zebra and chocolate, and different, more unique and interesting varieties. Our fruit trees that we have here, we try to do more unique and interesting varieties from the standard plants that you see. And even our native landscapes that we're doing, we try to provide plants that have layers of beneficial elements to them, that are not just pretty flowers and nice smelling things, but that you can make products from, that are healing, that are medicinal, you can make teas with. And I think that's what it's all about, getting the most value, the most use from your garden. I mean, every plant is edible. Every element, every leaf, every flower, every stalk, every root is edible. And so growing more diversity and educating people on all the people used to, we were empowered by the government to grow our own food because everything was going over to, war-torn areas. We should bring that back. I mean, that's beautiful. That's food security. That's resiliency. this apartment complex that you're talking about, we're trying to change the model of landscaping with apartment complexes. No more grass, no more palm trees, no more ornamental flowers. We're doing a full orchard. We're doing swales and berms and water saving systems, so when it rains, these gardens saturate even more and have, you know, more of an abundance. We're doing huge native gardens and herb gardens. And what we're doing is, when we go and do our maintenance, we're telling all the tenants a month in advance, come out, come and do maintenance with us. Come learn how to harvest, come learn how to make stuff from your garden. And eventually, these apartment complexes aren't going to need us to be taking care of these gardens, because their community, their tenants, are going to be so devoted to that farm, that farmer's market right outside their front door, that they're going to be the ones doing all the maintenance. Trying to do the full range. So herbs, fruit trees, some seasonal vegetables, and a lot of California native plants that are kind of lost in, you know, the last 50 years of landscaping. And we're trying to bring them back because they're super drought tolerant, they thrive in this kind of climate, and there's tons of medicinal ways of using them that people don't seem to know about anymore. And so we really want to try to bring that level of education back, because that goes into, you know, nutrition and taking care of our bodies. And I think that if we learned the medicinal properties of some of the plants that we could grow in our garden and how they have the same effects as, you know, the typical over-the-counter drugs, people are going to start to grow those plants and make their own products that are just as healing and just as natural and don't have the price tag that over-the-counter pharmaceuticals. I mean, one of our biggest environmental issues with industrial agriculture is the shipping and distribution. I mean, you're talking about multiple touches, multiple trucks, multiple vehicles bringing that produce from the farm to the supermarket. And a lot of these trucks, you know, a lot of these industry, they're not thinking about the environment. They're thinking about their bottom dollar. They're thinking about turning a profit. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for them to run their business. So what we need to do is break away from that model. To grow our own breaks away from not only the distribution of agriculture, but also the waste of agriculture. Now we're not buying a packaged thing where 20% of it ends up in the trash and we have all this plastic and all this packaging. We're literally only picking what we need that day, and the plant continues to grow. And so that really changes everything from a environmental and carbon footprint. Like a food forest. A food forest is this environment where you have lots of different plant species all growing together in harmony and producing constantly. And because of certain elements of that food forest, you have, you know, trees that are creating this microclimate, this canopy that filters some of the harsh and heavy light. It cools the environment underneath, which allows for more plants and more varieties to grow and prosper. And so the CMB, or climate mitigation building, has kind of that same model where we're planting a landscape around the building that will help to shield the building from the harsh rays of the sunlight, which will reduce the amount of energy that we're running our air conditioning units, and will also create an insulative effect, which will help in the summer months and in the winter months with, you know, your air conditioning and your heating bills. So planting plants that shade the building, doing soil design elements that are going to help with harvesting more rainwater. You know, a rain barrel's cool, but now you have a tank with just water sitting in it. We should be building systems in our soil that mimic the same design of a rain barrel, that harvest that water deep into its soil, preventing it from evaporating out and allowing the plants to tap in that over a longer period of time, which reduces the amount of water that we need.
Click on the description below to find out where to buy the products. We also have links to instructions to how to build a gray water system. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. We would also love to hear your questions, and also share how you prevent climate change. Put those in the comment section as well.